welcome. It's the artist relations team. Go by the name of Biss. My man Mikey, the big homie JUSE, back once again to talk about his release, his latest release.
Yes.
What's up, JUSE?
What's going on, fellas? I'm JUSE, music producer, percussionist, sound designer, co-founder of both the Listening Room and Sound Education. Been really cool for me to experience has been that foundational support given and provided by not only the NEWM's team on the back end, but the community at large and their community of supporters that they've been able to build and develop over this past, year and a half. And so, many of the supporters who have really minted these streaming tokens for Space Cowboy, many of them have been the foundational support of NEWM, NEWM's community. I'm just very extremely humbled and honored and grateful to garner a whole new community base and foundation of support. I had a really strong support system within the space already, but to gain new supporters, new fans through NEWM alone has been really, really cool.
So yeah, you mentioned like some of the supporters and the token holders was already maybe some Listening Room fans, like people that already got down with you on Cardano or whatnot. So do you feel like you were able to kind of expand that, like joining not only just NEWM's fan base, but outside of those two audiences, or how far do you feel like your reach got with this drop?
The one thing that I really honed in on, with Adam as well, was really truly, who our target market audience is, and just wanted to be realistic about that, given the time that we're in the market and it just in the industry as a whole. Like realistically, our target market truly still is like the Cardano community, just being very transparent. There's a lot of work to be had in terms of building out that onboarding process for anyone outside of that community. But you'd be surprised as to how many people and, how strong of a support system you can tap into just on the Cardano blockchain as a whole. Garner more of a fan base still within the space that we're operating in is still substantial to me. Every person, every new supporter matters. A new person that I'm welcoming into the fold and into my experience. We're almost there. We're at I think 92, but almost 100 transactions over the past couple weeks. So I really couldn't ask for a better first couple of weeks of this release,
because it's a new format. Everybody they don't quite understand why we're dealing with smaller numbers, but if you know anything about Web3 music specifically, it's not traditionally like how it used to be where you need 1 million fans, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's each fan over here is like it's quality over quantity. Like do you happen to know, like off the top of your head, what those almost 100 transactions equate to in streams? Last time I checked, what you earned in ADA equated to over 200,000 streams. As an artist, all respect to you, you're not a huge artist yet, you know what I mean? So, but this, with that equivalent, that's like what huge artists do. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, honestly, thank you for, bringing that up. Almost this time last year, I released my first, NFT collection, and I sold out in March. I sold 100 exclusive access tokens, 3D AR, experiential access tokens. And
that's huge, bro.
And thank you. And when I sold that collection out, that my life changed, like totally. How I don't want to be too cliche, but it was a moment for me when I transferred, the monies to, my Coinbase at the time, and I, swiped my debit card for some gas. I got some food. Like I was able to do some things. Like I cooked dinner for my daughter, and it was really surreal at that moment because I was able to spend money, but there was still more, and on that, I think I had brought in, almost around $3,000 to gain that much. Even over a course of 3 months, it was like $1,000 a month became like a new substantial revenue stream.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I was preaching, almost this time last year was like, hey, like the equivalent of what ones can make, up front with only even 100 people really does equate almost out to, 500,000 streams.
Try to get that message out to people
Yeah.
as much as I can, man. Like a few people, a few equals so much.
Yeah, especially when you're able to, get a nice groove, get a nice price point, offer a value package that is, accessible, but also valuable at the same time. There really is no limit as to like what you can garner, in the moment. And that's why I think it's really important to really just kind of play the scales, assess how many people you want to, attract to versus like the cost and the accessibility.
Yeah.
More people, lower cost, or less people, larger cost, and or like kind of meeting in the middle. And what does that experience look like? I was always weighing, before I finalized what the release looked like. It was like, how do I want to like present this as well to make sense for everyone that was supporting and buying.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's been successful.
To speak more on that, because I like what you're saying. I think you need to elaborate a little bit more just to let people know. So like what have you done to get the word out to your supporters, like before, when it dropped, and up to now? Because I know you sold out NFTs before, you have the listening room, you have a great understanding of a Web3, of building your own Web3 community.
Yeah.
So tell the people more, like give us the meat and potatoes of what you did to get this word out. Because to me and to other people as well, what you dropped is a success. It's only the third one. You've equated to over hundreds of thousands of streams. That's huge to me.
Yeah, you mentioned the listening room. When I first kind of got into the space, still again, I mean it's been over a year and a half now, but when I started getting some headway, some traction around this time last year, one of my big focuses was, and still is, but it's like, instead of pushing music out to the ethers and hoping you get like bites, which is like, just, you don't know where to start. I remember like feeling that way back in like 2017 when I made my kind of first push and first release. It was just like does this really work? Is it real? But to that point, my thought process of even, the founding of the listening room was, why not create like a platform that really doesn't do the work for you, but kind of does the work for you in terms of that exposure. Just kind of now, as of recently, I feel like, wow, like, it has become enough of a substantial platform to get, 50 to 60 ears on your music at one time, at once, and then get that word out. You have the opportunity to kind of spin the track and then also talk about it, so I also have my my Juice Holder OG group chat as well, so that I was able to get the information out in a variety of different fashions, from obviously a handful of Twitter spaces. I did one with you all, with NEWM, showcased on the listening room at least a couple weeks ahead of time. The guys were all geeked. We kind of played about 30 seconds a week before, so everyone was like, no, like, we don't, don't cut it off. And I was like, nah, y'all gotta wait. It came back around the next week, showcased again. We had the nice pre-party in the NEWM Discord. And then what I just got finished doing was, like I've mentioned, I have more. So I have 100 OG supporters, right? And then what I did was I released another track last summer of mine, and I created a special edition of this Juice ticket, right? This original Juice ticket. I created a special edition of it. And so I created 100 more. So there's actually 200 Juice tickets, exclusive access tickets out there.
Let me stop you real quick. What do they get with the exclusive access?
Yeah, exclusive access to all things Juice. So like,
okay,
that's kind of what I'm getting at right now. Is so what I did was I focused on my first 100 first. I'll get to the next 85. I got about 15 of the limited editions still to go that I want to drop into people's wallets, but I got about 85 over here, 100 over here. And what I did was I manually sent 100 transactions to 100 different people and airdropped them, stream tokens of Space Cowboy. I was also able to look into wallets and see, how many of the Juice ticket they were holding, maybe what other Juice NFTs they were holding. And I also let that determine how many tokens.
Man. Okay.
I did anywhere between 10,000 to 50,000, and a couple people got 100,000
Wow.
stream tokens.
Yeah.
I realized that, I think about 3-4 people tweeted. I got another tweet yesterday. It's like, hey, like Santa came early type of tweets, or like, thank you, JUSE. I got mine. And like one other person actually was like, hey, like, what are these? Tell me about it. I realized in that experience when I was kind of airdropping these that, believe it or not, not many of my 100, OG supporters had really bought yet.
Didn't know about it, or
Right, exactly. And idea was, and it continues to be, is getting tokens into wallets is so underestimated. What you can do when a token is finally in a wallet is you can actually create that experience of an exclusive access experience, like a token gated experience once you have these tokens in wallets, so you can then, like, you go to your policy asset holders, and you can look at that you just take your policy ID, you input it into Cardano Scan, you click a button that says all asset holders, and then boom, it just brings up all the addresses.
Let me ask you, let's just stay on that for a second, because what we're talking about is essentially a new way of marketing, right?
Oh, for sure.
Leveraging your tokens, and you're kind of retargeting your NFT holders, right? So it's interesting because I guess there's still that element of you have somewhat of a relationship with them because they've supported you in the past, but they may not be like doxed, you may not know who they are, but they support you. So it's kind of an interesting exchange. Let me just ask you, just in general, like, how do you feel about that? Like, knowing that you have people that support you, but they're supporting you anonymously, versus the concept of really being able to know who this person is, right? Know where they live, or maybe possibly do shows if you got enough people in that town. You know what I mean? Like, so you have this anonymous kind of phantom fan base versus, and that's almost what would happen in traditional music, because it's on Spotify, you got 1 million listeners, you don't know who's listening, right? But I always feel like Web3 is this, it's a new opportunity to connect with people in a different way, but you have this, animosity, or what's the word? Anonymity.
Anonymity, right.
So how does that work? Like, where do you find the balance in that? Or do you like one more than the other, or what?
It's definitely an interesting dynamic. When you kind of take it to that level, you really do realize how transparent the blockchain is. So you can't really hide, even though your identity might be anonymous, you can't really hide your transactions. You can't hide what's in your wallet, right? It's a public ledger for everyone to see. But that's why it then becomes like a marketing tool, and the advertising mechanism, because it's so transparent. And that's what ADA handles are for. That's what pool.pm is for. It's the blockchain viewer, so we get to interact with these NFTs and fungible tokens in a manner that we might not have been expecting when we kind of first started rocking out with it. And I think number one, that's just been that's the coolest part to me, is that advertising piece. It's like free advertising. The Space Cowboy, stream tokens just look so good, in these wallets, at 5 seconds later, as opposed to them not being there before, and it does kind of stick out, when you're scrolling through the wallet, you're like, oh, like what is this? Like 10,000 tokens, like what are these, and 30-second snippets. So I had a moment, I supported an artist, last year. She had done something really similar. She had airdropped a thank you, created even a thank you message fungible token for anyone that was holding the NFT. She airdropped a thank you note, into your wallet, right? And I was like, oh snap! Like, days of even having to like maybe mail something out, just that
possibilities.
That experience had really
you made light bulbs go all off of my head.
That had really done it for me in terms of how it doesn't need to be complicated. You know, that value that we're giving back to the people that support us is what I'm kind of getting at. Like, just a simple gesture is enough for them to be like, man, I'm sure glad I bought that. That's like the carrot, so to speak. I don't want to like come at it from this perspective, but that's the carrot that kind of leads them into that next support for that next thing, you know, that you're doing. It's like they're always going to remember, like, hey, you know, like, especially when you airdrop something that costs more than maybe what the original NFT is. You know, that's how you kind of start proving the value of, you know, and truly like your floor price really does start to raise, because you start getting stuff that are, you know, more than the value of what you bought it for. It does end up representing like that on JPEG Store.
You know, there's some aspects of that I didn't think about, you know, so that's very, very informative, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
You know, to get back on onto your release, you know, sounds like everything has been great so far. Are you satisfied from first contact up till now? Are you satisfied with everything? Is there anything that you would change in this whole process so far to make it better? And I ask you that for Mitchell and I's improvement. You know what I mean? Because we are the ones that have to deal directly with every artist that decides to do an exclusive drop with NEWM like you did.
I am satisfied. I asked for my first payout today, actually. You know, yesterday, I actually received it today. You know, while much of the team is off, you know, so thank you so much to just the NEWM team for pushing that through and making that happen kind of on short notice, in a sense. For all artists that really want to know, like, yeah, you do, you know, the money's going to, you know, certain and that's the only process that I was a little uncertain of, was like how the transaction went, and then how that storage went, and then what that payout process was. But it's still very simple. It makes sense. I am impressed. I am happy with the process, especially when, you know, kind of bridging the gap of my idea of how I wanted to, you know, I created, you know, 3 bundle types, 1 for 15, 5 for 60, 10 for 100. My average price per transaction right now is about 78 per transaction. Just a note of that, like that's shown to me that not only has how my approach and my idea been successful, but also it was able, like, NEWM's UI, like the interface, was it also really warm and welcoming to facilitate that, you know, transaction. You know, I think that was really, really seamless. I love how, you know, I have my, you know, each artist that released on NEWM gets their own page. So juice.newm.io. I think that's so cool, because I get to embed it, you know, into my website. And so all these little intricacies have been really great. And again, I mean, it's like, I always have to take a step back, and like almost like, again, like last year and this time around as well, is like, man, to be able to get upfront this type of money, you know, that you would be getting on almost, you know, millions of streams, is really like almost mind blowing a little bit. And so, you know, I have to take a moment myself to even just take it all in.
Off of one song.
Just one track. Exactly. One track. Just 2 weeks, you know, of promotion. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle, proud to pay. You know what I'm saying? That's that proud to pay, right? You know, shout out to Nipsey Hussle. He was one of the first ones that kind of really took that. You know, getting it all up front, and then investing into, you know, your art, your career, get new equipment, you know, pay out who you got to pay out, take care of the things that you have to for your family. All that stuff is possible.
I think as we continue to build this out, I think that's the overall sentiment and message, is like, hey, like in the world that we live in today, you can be a plumber, you can be a teacher, you can be a painter, but you can't be a musician. You can't sustain a living and get a regular, you know, residual income off of just streams. You know what I mean? It's just not possible. So to hear something like this and to see it happen, you know what I mean? It's not just pie in the sky no more. It's not just people talking about it.
And to be a part of it. And
And you
to
know what I
be
mean? We got people going through it. So,
yeah,
you know, I
man.
myself had the same experience, you know, with Murs, dropping the record with Murs. Not only am I working with a legend, right? But, you know, I get to break bread with this dude like up front before we even, you don't have to wait 3 months, 6 months to a year, like the traditional industry, right? Then we get to share the revenue with the people that support it. I mean, it's just for a music artist, it's just like a win-win, bro. So congratulations to you. That's super dope, man.
Yeah, thank y'all, man. Thank you all for the support that you all have been, you know, just from day one, you know, we've been locked in, and I appreciate you all for your support and for kind of taking on the role with NEWM as for artist relations, and that's extremely important, you know, for our community, for artists to be able to really vibe with the team, you know, on many levels. You know, there's so many different like aspects of what's going on. So to have, you know, two individuals such as yourselves being, you know, front facing with this process with NEWM has been really cool too.
Appreciate
Man,
that.
thank you, man. And I want to throw out there that I want all genres to feel comfortable stepping to us. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people will look at us and just associate us with hip hop or R&B or something like that. Like that's something that me and Mitch are trying to work really hard on is, you know, stepping out into the whole musical world. And anyone who could do this, you know what I mean? Anyone who has a community, if they're into Web3, if they're interested in Web3, show them, like, you know, people like you, to show them that, hey, you can do this. You can be successful at this. And yeah, man, I just wanted to make sure I say that because, you know, a lot of times people judge a book by its cover. Nah, we welcome everybody. We looking for everybody.
Yeah, we're looking for talent, bro.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
you make great music, get at us.
Yeah, I think, you know, really our opportunity, not just in Cardano, right? I know, like you said, right now, that's our primary focus, but Web3 in general and just the music industry in general, if we really can take this thing to the next level, my goal is to ensure that it's led by a quality movement.
Yeah.
Right. And not just
for sure
who got the most money, who got the best marketing, who got the best, you know, machine behind them or whatnot. Like we got an opportunity here to really curate dope artists and showcase real talent and let the people decide, you know, without the bureaucracy, without the middleman kind of steering the ship, if you will. Because I mean, we all know it. You turn on the radio, you're only going to hear a handful of songs, no matter what genre you're listening to. It's only going to be a certain number of songs. So, you know, now we understand that what is 100,000 songs being uploaded to Spotify every day, right? So you listen to 20 artists on the radio, but it's 100,000 songs being uploaded. Like we know that the ship is not being steered in the right direction. So I'm really excited, just to your point, like with this whole artist relations thing, to help kind of curate the music and find, cherry pick like some really dope artists and give them that opportunity, you know, to showcase what they got and let the people decide what's dope, you know.
It's my dream job, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, straight up.
It's an honor to me to be able to sit here and chop it up with dope artists like you and help you see success in your beautiful art that you created. Like, that's all I want to do, man. I'm fulfilling my life's purpose with this. And I'm so thankful to work with this team, man. Like you were talking about the team is A1, bro. Yeah. Oh my God. I love all of them. You're fantastic, man. I want to start to wrap this up because I know we've been on for a little while. I do want to ask you a silly question though. Would you drop another track with NEWM?
Of course I would. Well, why wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I'll make sure that it's a banger too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, sir.
That's, you know, I want to outdo myself on the next one, to be honest. And so whatever that experience looks like, I know I got my juice.newm.io now, you know, so I can't wait to grow as well with NEWM.
Would you do anything different with your next release? Like, would you release it exactly the same, since, you know, it's a strategy with the token bundles that you dropped, right? Yeah. So is that like your main strategy, or would you try something new? Like what?
I think, right now for where we're at in the market, that was the strategy works for right now. I wanted to really, that decision was also based on the market, and where we're at.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's at least a third of that decision made was based off of the current state of the market. But I also, another reason why I made that decision is I want to provide the really accessible, affordable opportunity. So having that 15 ADA option, I think is really, really, really important so that anyone feels like they can buy in. And then also rewarding the people that do buy in more, rewarding them for, being able to give them more for less and that spending. I think though I'm still going to keep that. Like, that's something that, unless the market kind of dictates and shows me otherwise, I'm definitely going to keep that same similar strategy moving forward. And hey, I was the first one to kind of implement it like this. I encourage anyone and everyone to, follow suit. I'm not scared to just kind of share that alpha. I think it's important, but at the same time, what worked for me might not work for you, and vice versa. All the, what MERS did was different than what NEDO did, was different than, how I did it. And so, but all of them have been successful, so I think that'll be kind of like the last word that I'll give is, we were talking about that, in a space just a couple of days ago. And, a lot of people want to know, like, what is it? How do I do it? And like, what should I do? But I think the focus should be more on, how do you bring your unique assets to the table, and because, the things that pop are the things that were innovative in the moment, or the things that were unique and stood alone, or the things that were consistent, over the course of a period of time. Someone was extremely consistent and disciplined, so there's things that you can't really take from someone else's experience, that you think is going to like work for you because like they really did it their own.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work.
Yeah.
So, that's just what I encourage is, take notes, on how, each individual artist is releasing, but also do what works best for you, in addition to like the current state of the market, and kind of just put all those factors together into an equation and see what works best for you.
Man, well said, man. Hey, man, I want to thank you. I want to humbly thank you myself and on behalf of the whole NEWM team.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time with us, Juice.
Amazing.
Mitchell, you got anything to say, sir?
Man, just congratulations to you, bro. Look forward to many more. I'm horrible with jumping in the spaces and the discourse or whatnot, but I swear I'm getting the listening room and come hang out with you guys, man. So
yeah, man, we'll get you in there. We'll get you in there. And you know what? And stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because we got, vice versa. I interviewed, Mood Swings just a little bit ago as well. So we got some more content coming out just with all of us here too, coming soon.
Beautiful, man. Well, we're gonna sign off, you guys. This has been the post-review interview with Juice, and we up out of this thing. Peace.